I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public comment during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. Will you please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mr. Nichols.
Here.
Ms. Parkhurst.
Here.
Ms. Smoyer.
Here.
Mr. West.
Here.
Ms. Pritchard.
Here.
Thank you.
I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of August 13th, 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. West.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Parkhurst. Are there any additions or corrections? Okay, roll call.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Ms. Parkhurst.
Aye.
Good. Mr. Nichols.
Aye.
Ms. Smoyer.
Yes.
Ms. Pritchard.
Aye.
Thank you.
Are there any additions, removals, modifications to the agenda? And if not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. West. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Mr. Chambers?
Mr. West.
Yes.
Mr. Nichols.
Aye.
Ms. Parkhurst.
Aye.
Ms. Smoyer.
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard.
Aye.
Thank you.
Superintendent's communication, Mr. Sable.
Good evening for all those attending, watching, and our Board of Education. I'd like to start off by welcoming everybody to our new board meeting location here at historic Garfield. We are excited to be able to repurpose this facility and utilize it for space that's been much needed. The space really looks beautiful, and that's thanks to our maintenance department and our custodial staff. The effort that they put in to facelift this facility in this room, which used to be the cafeteria, is really evident. And it's important to note that all of this was done at a very minimal cost, with our staff preparing the space, adding some new fresh paint to the walls, developing the outstanding banners on the side of the room that represent our portrait of a bee, as well as I think the maybe only real cost in transforming this room is the carpeting, which we used a local company in order to support us in installing that. So we're looking forward to meeting in this facility, which is going to allow for more people to attend our meetings, as well as our professional development center, which is across the hall, and allows for more space for our high school, which I know that they appreciate. Speaking of our high school, I'd like to start by inviting Dr. Tadona up to the front, our high school principal. We're continuing our monthly presentations for our buildings to make sure our Board of Education, as well as our community, knows what's happening in our schools, the many great things. And our first presentation is from Medina High School.
Thank you. Good evening. Is this working? Is it working now? There we go. All right. Good evening. Thank you for having me. So I want to come and talk a little bit about advanced placement courses. It's on. Thanks, Craig. Okay. So to provide a little bit of background about advanced placement courses, they are offered through College Board. There are 39 AP courses that College Board offers. They have a curriculum that goes with it, and there is a culminating test at the end called the AP exam. It's scored on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. And typically colleges look for a 3 or better to accept college credit. So there are many advantages of AP courses, and this is even besides the test, because that is often the focus for a lot of people is I have to get a 3, I have to get a 4, I have to get that 5. However, just setting foot in the classroom and being a part of the course is actually extremely beneficial. So everything from being more likely to be enrolled into a 4-year college to even scoring a 1 or 2, being as well, if not better, than other students sitting in those introductory college level courses with you, as well as AP students, or students who take AP courses, I should say, go on to score higher on subsequent AP courses. So a lot of the times just staying in the class and persevering shows increased ability in upcoming AP exams. So this table shows all of the AP courses that College Board offers. You'll see 39 of them, and then you will see the 21 that Medina High School offers that are highlighted in yellow there. So to give you a little bit of context about how we compare to some other schools across the state and nation, you'll see that 40% of public high schools in Ohio offer at least 5 AP courses. Only 22% offer at least 10 AP courses. Again, that's in Ohio. Then you look nationwide, and you have 47% of high schools nationwide that offer 5 AP courses and 32% that offer at least 10. Again, we offer 21, so a little higher there. So using our 23-24 data, again, we offer 21 AP courses. We had 17 AP teachers, and that is a really big deal because they are certified to be AP teachers. They go on to receive extra training, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later here as well. 81% of our courses received a higher score than the national average. 874 AP tests were given on the 23-24 school year. 723 tests earned at least a 3 or higher, which is about almost 83% of them, which is an increase of 8.6% from the previous year. And I should mention the number of our tests was an increase of almost 26% from the previous year. So constantly getting better every single year. On average, a college course is worth just over $1,200. So those students who are receiving a 3 or higher, which again is about 83% of our scores are a 3 or higher, are saving college tuition money. And I always point out that 100% of our AP students take that AP test. And I point that out because that's not the norm. A lot of schools will just have students opt in to taking the AP test. To me, that's a gatekeeper. We don't like to have a gatekeeper. We want to encourage all of our students to take that test at the end, because you never know what you can do. And you've seen all the benefits of just sitting in an AP course. So the fact that we have 83% of our tests getting a 3 or higher, and we have every single student in that class taking an AP test, and you can see an increase of 26% of tests given, is a really huge deal and a testament to our students and our educators at Medina High School. So what does all of this mean? So a lot of data shows that just having access to rigorous curriculum actually increases our high school graduation rates, as well as a higher college enrollment and attainment of that diploma at the end of that college enrollment. So just having access to those courses. Again, we have an increased number of courses compared nationally as well as in our state. College completion of a bachelor's degree is also positively associated with rigorous curriculum, which again, AP courses are seen as the most rigorous curriculum that we have. And then the number of AP courses and the number and level of math courses also is a predictor of receiving a bachelor's degree at the end of that college career. Just some teacher perspectives. So one teacher, and I'm not going to read all of this, but one teacher shared that students learn to make claims and support it by evidence. They are able to manage their time. They learn how to communicate, collaborate with their peers, which is something we're always pushing our students to do, to persevere through difficult times, which is why we want them to take beyond one course and keep trying if they feel like they're not succeeding in something. They've found that AP classes not only help in shaping better students in the courses that they take, but overall, they are well-rounded, critical thinkers who are able to persevere in all aspects of their lives, which is our portrait of a bee. Another teacher shared that these opportunities allow students to measure their abilities against other peers across the country, which is not something that you're able to do if you're not in an AP course. You're comparing yourself amongst your like peers. But having AP courses accessible to you allows you to not only compare yourself to other peers who you're going to be sitting next to in those universities, but also to collaborate with them. And there's so many, whether it's through social media or forums or College Board, where students actually collaborate before taking that test, the AP exam, and they study together. And these are connections done state to state, which is a really awesome opportunity that our students have that they would not have otherwise. Another perspective is that our teachers feel that students are able to strengthen their artistic skills, their ability to think creatively, think outside the box, and again, really hitting home the fact that they are exemplifying the characteristics of our portrait of a bee. So there's also benefits to our teachers. So those are a little bit about the benefits to our students, but as far as benefits to our teachers, our AP courses, those teachers that have access to it and are teaching them, it gives them an opportunity to have increased professional development, rigorous professional development. It also gives them opportunities to collaborate nationwide as AP readers, as scorers. They go to AP Summer Institutes. So these are professional development opportunities that they would not otherwise have. And I think our scores speak for themselves about how well our teachers do in preparing our students. Then we have some alumni. So both of those examples are talking about these students who were in a specific AP chemistry class, and both of them went on to a different doctorate level program. The first one went to study organic chemistry in a PhD program, and the second one went on to study as a doctor of pharmacy. And both of them struggled, but now comes back, and both of those are thanking that teacher for that opportunity, which is an awesome opportunity for our students to have, again, that not everybody in our state and in our nation has an opportunity to take advantage of. Another student saying that they found that their course to be invaluable, and it was an opportunity that a lot of their peers did not have in other high schools, is through their AP art class, and that's something that we were able to offer to them with the support of our community. And then here's just a little quick video about what some of our current students have to say. We heard from our alumni. Here's our current students.
AP classes offered at Medina High School have helped me further my education and allow me to see what life is like beyond high school.
The AP classes that I have taken here have helped me in not just the classes themselves, but also in all of my other classes by giving me like valuable life skills and teaching me lots of material I'll need in the future.
AP classes have better prepared me for my future because of the course load. It is similar to colleges and their deadlines, and I think it's very important that high school students are able to have this amount of course load now, so they're better prepared for college. Taking an AP class also allows me to be eligible to get college credit if I pass the test at the end of the year.
This is my first AP class, and although there might be a lot of work, there's great support systems and a bunch of resources available for me if I need them.
At first I didn't really know what AP classes are, but now I'm enrolled in my first one and I absolutely love it. I think we're really lucky at Medina to have so many AP classes available to us, and I plan on taking a lot more in my next 2 years.
AP courses have given me the confidence to extend my learning. Although at the beginning of the year I was nervous to go into my AP class this year, the teachers are really there to support you and they help me earn college credit.
So that's just a little bit about what our current students who are experiencing that coursework now have to say. That is not all that we have to offer.
AP classes offered at Medina.
That's not all that we have to offer at Medina High School. That's just one of many, many opportunities that we have. And because of those opportunities and experiences that we are able to offer our students, in my opinion, you can't compare us to anyone else. We're one of one because we offer one of many. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tadona, for the presentation this evening. The addition of AP classes has really been an initiative over the course of the last 10 years to expand opportunities for our students. We heard loud and clear in our original strategic plan approximately 8 years ago, to me coming into the district, that our students needed more opportunities at the high school level for advanced achievement, and that we needed to make those opportunities available for more students. So the work presented this evening, or the coursework presented, is a result of that feedback from our community and the ongoing work to meet those strategic plan goals. So thank you, Elisa, for your work with your staff and your students in your presentation this evening.
Mr. Sable, if I may add something as well. Thank you, Dr. Tadona, for the presentation. I know Mr. West has mentioned before about how his sons took AP courses and how much it prepared them for university, and I can say the same thing for my two boys as well. They took advantage of those AP classes, and every kid that we talked to that has taken them, I mean, we heard from alumni in the presentation, but every kid we talked to that has taken AP courses is very successful at college. They're prepared. They are more prepared than their students who have not taken AP courses. So, and that is a testament to the work that you've done and to our staff, those teachers, getting out there and making those courses available. I remember, as Mr. Sable said, we have really broadened the number of courses that are available. That is a testament to our staff, our administrators in our district. Some of the things that were mentioned that the students said they learned and the teachers noted about collaboration, those are things that our employers are looking for in graduates. They want students who are able to collaborate with each other, who can communicate, who persevere, who try new things, and they're getting that from those AP courses. So that is something that has made Medina a standard bearer. I hope that we can continue to keep all of those things. I think it's important for our community to know that we are one of one when it comes to those things. Not many other schools offer the opportunities that we have. And I know it's coming up soon, we're going to talk some about the levy, but this is one example of where this is something that unfortunately may have to be cut, because we will have to cut personnel if the levy does not pass. So if it's important, if people like the way things are going, these are one of the great things that our district has to offer that does make us one of one that we would like to continue. Thank you very much.
I'll just add, and she mentioned my son. Well, he's down at OSU, and he's a mechanical engineering student along with 4 others. They're living in a house this year, but there's 2 mechanical engineering students, 2 aeronautical engineering students, and a computer and electrical engineering student. And I can tell you, having talked with all 5 of them extensively, that even if they didn't take the college credit when they got there, the classes that they had here, the AP, the advanced stuff, has prepared them for the classes that they're having now and has made their life easier. They're still having to work hard, but they have the skills to figure out and how to be successful and learn the material in a timely manner. And all of those, I think in one of the young students said something about preparing for the course load and how much work it's involved. And that's, multiply that by 5 classes and a very heavy discipline, and that's what they're having to deal with. So I can speak personally to that effect. So I've seen the benefit. So thank you.
Thank you. This time, I would like to invite Amy Busby, our Director of Community Relations, up. Believe it or not, homecoming is just around the corner for our high school.
So good evening. I just wanted to take this opportunity to inform the board and our community of all the festivities that are being planned for upcoming homecoming. First of all is our parade, which will be Thursday, October 10th. At 6 o'clock, we will leave Garfield, this building, in the back parking lots, and we will travel through the square up Broadway to Union, and then right on Union back to the high school. So it's going to be a great night of Medina spirits, and be sure to wear your green and white. Then the following evening, I'm sorry, I need to back up. There's, after the parade, there's a Powder Puff football game, which is the juniors and seniors competing against each other. This is the second year that the high school has done this, and last year it was very well received by our community. So it is a community event, and it is $5 to enter the game. You can either purchase your tickets online through Hometown Ticketing after November 25th, or they'll take $5 cash at the gate. So that's a great opportunity, and the proceeds from that event supports our Link Crew, which is that's a group at the high school that primarily mentors our freshman students. Then on Friday evening is the varsity football game. They take on Cleveland Heights, so that should be a great night for football. And then Saturday evening is the dance at the high school, and that's for our high school students. So thank you.
And continuing with the theme of the great things that are happening in Medina City Schools, I would like to invite Tina Cassidy, our Director of Instruction. Our state, just as recently as the beginning of the week, released state report card ratings. You may have seen the story in the Gazette about Medina County. I would like to congratulate all of the school districts, our neighbors here in Medina County, for the high level of achievement that we see across our county. I think it's important to note as well that as we celebrate our success on the state report card, it's also just a lone indicator of what's really happening in our classrooms on a daily basis to provide outstanding academics to prepare our students for whatever their future may be. So, Tina Cassidy.
Thank you. Like Erin said, we're very excited about our state report card this year. I think it really reflects the hard work that our teachers and students did. Our report card, just as a little refresher, the report card is based on different components. There's achievement and progress, which are the two ones with the biggest weight. Then there's gap closing, graduation, early literacy, and those are all weighted into our current grade. The college, career, workforce, and military readiness component is not yet ready at the state level, so we do not have scores in that area, but that should be coming next year on the next report card. So overall, Medina City Schools was rated a 4.5 stars out of 5. So that is, again, excellent. We are very excited about that. And to the right, you can see the state distribution graph, so which shows that we are in the top third of our state. So we're very excited about, again, the hard work that our staff and students do. The first component is achievement, and our district scored 4 stars on achievement. So in the bottom there, you can see that 4 stars means we exceed state standards in academic achievement. Achievement measures how well students do on the test. So the higher rating the student earns, the more points that is, and that's how they figure out the stars on the achievement section. The progress section measures growth, and that would mean no matter where the student started, did they make adequate growth? And you can see that there's significant evidence that our district exceeded student growth expectations. So again, very proud of our staff and students. In gap closing, we scored 5 stars, and that means we significantly exceed state standards in closing educational gaps. And what this component talks about is our subgroups. How did we do with our EL students, our special ed students, our Hispanic students, and so forth? So are we making sure that that educational gap is closing? And we are doing a great job in that area. Graduation, are students graduating on time? And we, again, significantly exceed state standards in our graduation rates. Early literacy, we earned 3 stars, which means that we meet state standards in early literacy. And I know that we have talked to the board before, and Sarah Jackson from my department has talked to the board about all the work going on in early literacy right now. Just last year, all K-5 teachers, ELA teachers, and special ed teachers received 20 hours of PD through the state on the science of reading, and every other teacher in the district received 7.5 hours of science of reading training. So everybody is working towards this goal. And then, as you also know, we just recently adopted CKLA, which went across the district this year, so we're really excited about that as well. So again, while we're very proud about how well we did on our state report card, that is only one piece of what we do. We feel like our biggest work and the thing we're most proud of is our work towards our Portrait of a Bee and our Deeper Learning Initiative. Last year, Deeper Learning by the Numbers, last year, we had our first ever Portrait to Practice Expo, which showcased our 60-plus teachers and all the amazing projects they're doing to help our students master the Portrait of a Bee competencies. We had Highlighting Innovation Awards that we granted. We had 15 Highlighting Innovation Award winners across the district, across 8 buildings. So this work is spreading, and it's spread across the district. We also had 2 of our staff present on deeper learning at state and national levels, so that was very exciting as well. Last year, we also started something new, which is our capstone experiences for students. And we piloted capstone experiences at grades 5, 8, and 12. And that was something really exciting that we're really proud of. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. If I can get the slide to move. Oh, and here's a picture of our Portrait to Practice. So our capstone is, it's a universal experience across a grade level. It's transdisciplinary, which means that it crosses different subject areas. It gives students voice, choice, personal relevance, self-directness, and reflection with evidence. And the idea behind capstones is that it's an assessment for deeper learning. Our Portrait of a Bee was put together by our community, and we pledged to our community that we were going to work on those competencies with our students. And this is an assessment of how we are doing at that. And all capstones have a public reflection at the end. So our 5th grade, you can see our public reflection at 5th grade. Our 5th graders worked with community members, and they solved problems in different industries. So the 5th grader said, like, for example, I want to be a nurse. They were matched with a nurse from the community. The nurse told them problems that they have in the nursing field, and it was up to the student to try to solve the problem in some way. We got such great feedback from the community members. They were so amazed at the great ideas that our students had to help solve the problems in the industry, and a lot of them said that they were going to actually try them, which was really fun. 8th grade capstone project, that focus was a little bit different, where students got to explore their passion, and then they had to show how that would help the world in some way. So we had students, for example, the little boy on the bottom right, he was very passionate about coding and creating video games, so he created a video game about the Civil War to help kids learn about the Civil War. We had a student create a cookbook. We had students, they were interested in fashion, so they created like a closet where kids could come and exchange clothes. There was just a lot of different ideas, and they did a great job. And then our senior capstone projects, I know you've probably heard a lot about. It's been in the papers, where students had to pick, again, a passion of theirs and then actually do a project in the community. We had a group of students clean up Roscoe Ewing Park. We had a group of students want to provide scholarships for caregivers, and so they fundraised, and then they provided scholarships, which they actually passed out at senior scholarship night, and then the leftover money that they had, they bought donuts for the nurses at Medina Hospital, which was really nice. So those are just some of the things that we're really proud of in Medina City Schools. There's just a lot of great things going on. Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I just want to thank you and all the teachers for their hard work. And I got to sit in on the interviews with the 8th graders at Root, and it was amazing, some of the ideas that they came up with. So thank you very much.
Yeah, they did a great job. Thank you.
I want to provide the board and the community an update on our upcoming October Board of Education meeting. I'm excited that the city has reached out to us in terms of coordinating a joint meeting, which we in the past have done those on an annual basis. However, when the pandemic hit, that's something that was put on pause. So for them to reach out to continue that initiative, I think is important because we really are one with our communities in terms of supporting each other with the services that we offer together in the district as well as out in the city and our communities. And that's an opportunity for us to come together and discuss and celebrate that joint relationship. In coordinating and collaborating on a date, we are looking at scheduling that meeting here at Garfield at 5:30 on Wednesday, October 16th. The format of that meeting will be a little bit different than usual. We'll start the meeting as a joint meeting with City Council. Following the joint meeting, we will take a recess so that City Council doesn't have to. Of course, they're invited to stay throughout our board meeting, and then we'll hold our regular board meeting following the joint meeting. It's my recommendation to cancel the pre-scheduled meeting for that month, which I believe Dave Chambers can do through a simple notification. And the final thing I want to present on, I'm going to combine these last two items, but our proposed reduction plan as well as our levy discussion. Usually when I present to our Board of Education, I do it right from my seat. But with the gravity and importance of what I'm going to share tonight, both with the upcoming levy in November, as well as the proposed reduction plan, which I intend to present to the board for approval at the end of the meeting, I think it's vitally important that we have a more formal presentation. It's important to note that when presenting, there we go, that in presenting a levy issue to our community and then following that up with a presentation of massive reductions, which really would change the face of our district, is something that no superintendent ever wants to stand in front of the Board of Education or the community and ever do. The reductions, as well as the need for the levy, are things that we do not have a choice about. I'd much rather stay focused in my position on the academics and the learning that's happening in our classrooms and in our community. Presenting these types of, quite frankly, controversial topics and asking for this level of support from our community is a need, not a want. The first slide indicates what our ask is to the community. We have been assigned an issue number 16, and we want to make sure that people are clear about that. I do anticipate, with it being a presidential election, that there's likely to be a lot of items, very important items on the ballot. So making sure people are aware of what our issue number is so that they can have their voice in the future of our district. You know, our community has always taken pride in providing a strong educational experience for our students, and the decisions that we have to make now as a Board of Education, as well as our community is going to have to make on the ballot, are decisions that are going to impact everybody, our parents, our students, our staff, as well as our community. This isn't just a district-wide issue. This really is a Medina community issue that I'm sharing today. The 7.5 mil emergency levy is for a 10-year period of time and is for operating purposes, which means these dollars can only be used for the day-to-day operations within the school district. And the amount that we are asking the community for to continue to support our school district is $14.4 million annually. A common question I think comes up is why 7.5 mils? And the reason why is because that's the amount of additional funding that is necessary to maintain the face of our current district. We know we've had a lot of discussion administratively and as a board in terms of the needs of our district. It's been over 10 years, over a decade since we've asked for new funding. So we've been able to maintain high standards for our students and programming without coming to the community and asking for additional funds, despite the fact that we're impacted by inflation, increasing costs, just like everybody else is across the country. Eventually, when you're continuing to maintain the services that you are, those increased costs catch up. So we're in a position now where we're really facing a revenue issue, not a spending issue. Not according to the expectations that our parents and our community clearly laid out to us in our past strategic plans in terms of the wants and needs for our kids. Medina City Schools have been and continue to be a foundation of our community for many generations. We have a rich history, this building being one of them, and we owe it to our students in the future of not only Medina City Schools, but our community as well, to find the right path forward. So the information that I'm sharing is information and facts to help people make the right decision for moving towards the right path moving forward. The reduction plan implementation with the failure of a November ballot, reduction plan implementation with the failure of a November ballot issue. We've already reduced $4 million in permanent reductions going into this year. And I think a lot of people don't totally understand that. We were able to do it in a way that was least impactful on students. Redistricting was not an easy thing. That was a very difficult decision for us to make. The decision was made because of the decrease in enrollment at our elementary buildings, which is going to be funneling up eventually to our middle schools as well as our high schools. With the repurposing of Heritage as well as Garfield, it allowed us to reduce $4 million going into this year with the use of attrition and have a minimal impact on what you're seeing in the classrooms or the longevity of our district and its impact on the community. A loss of an additional $14.4 million if the levy fails in November would be catastrophic to our school district. We're looking at a need to make reductions that are double what we made going into this school year. So we would have to make $8 million in reductions for the 25-26 school year in order to maintain an adequate balance and budget. The state reviews our balance and budget on an annual basis. We were in fiscal watch last year. That resulted in the initial $2 million in reductions in our work that we did with the state with their mandates for us to make reductions. When the levy didn't pass in the spring, we implemented an additional $2 million in reductions to counteract the failure of that second levy. If we don't implement $8 million in reductions next year, we will go into a further crisis with the state. The state has different levels, including fiscal watch, fiscal emergency, where they will come in and they will make sure we're making the necessary reductions. And we will lose the amount of choice we have in what those reductions are going to be and not have the same kind of local control. It's really challenging when you're looking at this level of reductions, $40 million over the course of the next 4 years with continued levy failures, because we're in a people business. And when you're in a people business, it really limits the areas that you can make reductions. We would be looking at students and staff majorly impacted, as I'm going to talk about, by the reductions. And that's a challenge when you're talking about people that are part of our Medina family. They're the educators who build relationships with our students from kindergarten through graduation. So that's what I'm talking about today. They're the faces that our children interact with daily, helping to shape our students into the grown-ups that they're eventually going to be and the contributors back to our community. You know, I understand that asking for financial support is very difficult for many of our families. However, the need for the 7.5 mil levy is about preserving the programs and opportunities to ensure that every Medina student gets a quality education. It's preserving the tradition of our communities. That's the decision that needs to be made on the ballot for issue 16. This next chart outlines what I just shared in terms of the reductions, the permanent $4 million in reductions made going into this year, and then the additional $8 million going into the next several years, which equates to a total of $40 million in reductions. So getting into the actual reductions themselves, I think the best way to really talk about this and look at it is to look at what the picture would be for our district. If the levy were to pass, and that decision was made by our community and stakeholders in November, it would allow us to preserve our neighborhood schools and ensure that our children continue learning in the same traditional supportive educational environment that has been in place for generations in our district. It means continued access to academic programs that help prepare students for college, career, military, and beyond. It also creates and keeps in place programming that's vital for the vibrance of our community and continues to help our community to be a place where students want to return to after they do their post-secondary or military services. The academic success that we've achieved is a reflection of our community's past support. Without the necessary funding, as I had mentioned, we won't be able to maintain the high standards we've come to expect of our school district or of our children. And I'm going to go through some details as to why that's the case, but simply looking at having $8 million in reductions, any business or corporation that needs to make that level of reductions is going to see a major change and impact in what they're able to produce, and that's the same for schools. If the levy were not to be approved, on the 16th, we would see a major loss in services and community feel. We would be reducing 119 staff members across the district in total. That's in addition to the staff member reductions that we've already made across all classifications. This would result in larger class sizes, less individual attention, and fewer opportunities for students. The overall school experience for our students and our families would drastically change. We've talked tonight, and we talk at every board meeting about the success of our students and the success of our schools. It's due to the programming that we currently have in place that our community has helped us to develop and design within each of our buildings. Our schools have been an integral part of Medina for generations. I know the importance of our schools to our community and to those generations because I regularly hear from them about our schools and how our students are doing and the achievement levels that we see. So a failure to pass this levy would lead to major changes that would alter the character of our district forever, moving away from what many of our Medina families have grown up with and really valued in their own experiences moving forward. The $8 million reduction plan, there's 15 items on this reduction plan, and I'm not going to spend time going through each of these tonight. I feel like I've highlighted the major ones in the previous 2 slides and would invite any of our board members or our community to take time to review these and reach out to me personally, either for a meeting, through email, through social media, if there are any questions. Again, this list is extremely extensive. Trying to whittle away $8 million in a single year is not a good thing, or an easy thing. So it impacts across all levels and all programming. I do want to highlight that the restructuring plan does include moving to grade level schools. This is for the elementary buildings. This means that students wouldn't only be changing teachers on a yearly basis, but they would also be changing buildings on a yearly basis. Going to that type of a model allows us to do further reduction because we would need less teachers and support staff at each of the grade levels if we combine them into a single location. It's a necessary road to take in order to be able to make the level of reductions that we need to make with having the least impact on academics. These reductions don't just impact staff, but they impact community members as well. Our teachers and residents that are invested in our students are definitely going to see a change and a shift of what our school and our school district looks like. Also, having a lower performance level because we're not able to provide the same kind of services will have a statistical impact on our overall community in terms of property values. I just saw a stat recently that showed one of the top 2 reasons somebody chooses to come and live in a community is because of the quality of the schools, as well as businesses, and businesses wanting to come and be a part of the community. Top thing that they look at as well is the success of the schools. Our draft reduction plan, we're not just making decisions for today, but for the future of our schools and children. The choices that are going to be made on the November ballot, as well as in regards to the reduction, will have a generational impact on Medina children. And that's because once we implement the necessary reductions to be able to get to that $8 million dollar figure, we have to really make massive changes that would not be easy to convert back to how the district traditionally operated. Going to grade level buildings, transitioning Root and Claggett to a 5, 6, and 7, 8. While those are quick changes to make in a year, not easy, but we can do it fairly quickly, taking that in reverse would take a large amount of funds. So again, these reductions occur if a levy fails, not if it passes. If we lose that $14.5 million, our hole becomes even deeper. It would take decades in order to reestablish, if that were a future goal of the district, a resemblance of what our schools currently look like. In terms of the staffing reductions, I had mentioned that that would be the largest area of reducing funds. Going to things like grade level buildings and a 5, 6, 7, 8 model helps us to be able to reduce the people in the district. Staff reductions affect real people who support our children. It's really not about the numbers. It's about the teachers, the support staff who provide the foundation of our children's education and of what Medina City Schools is. Our people are the fabric of who we are. So when you're reducing at the level that we would be looking at, we would be changing the fabric of our school district. And again, trying to reestablish that in the future is quite a challenge, not only because of the increased financial need we would have with a levy failure, but also with the mass educator shortage that we're seeing not only here in Ohio, but across the country. Even the ability to bring people back into the district would be quite a challenge. A couple charts on our forecast that I wanted to share with the board and the community tonight. The first one is our 5-year forecast, which Dave shares and explains at every one of our board meetings. School funding and finances are complex. So the more we can streamline this to make it easy to understand, the better. This chart includes the $4 million in permanent reductions, but with a November failure. And you can see that we're in dire straits. We're not only seeing a drastic decrease in our finances available in order to support our students, it's going right through the floor. And this is the crisis that we need to address with additional funds. The second one is our 5-year forecast. This again includes the $4 million in permanent reductions, but it also includes the $8 million in reductions that we need to make going into next year. With those reductions, we are able to get into a situation where we're not going into the negatives, but you can see we're still very quickly headed that direction. And that's why, even with a failure in November, there would be an ongoing need for levies to be on the ballot regularly and consistently until we can get additional funding, because we can't keep operating going into a deficit. And again, I want to point out that this chart shows $12 million in reductions to the district in a completely different face of the district. And that amount of reductions still creates a downward flow. That's where I talk about the face of our district and what we want, and that this is a revenue issue, not a spending issue. Because even decimating the programming we currently have in place to support kids, we would still be in a situation of a downward spiral in terms of our funding. So in summary, we've faced difficult challenges before as a school district and a community. I've been here for some of those. The pandemic, the end of the last financial crisis for the district. And despite the challenges, our community has always come together to support our children and our schools and our community. And this is all really more than just about balancing budgets. It's about ensuring that every student in Medina continues to have the same and equal opportunities for success as the generations before them. That's the decision that's on the ballot in November. Our situation isn't caused by local spending issues. Again, it's a revenue issue, and it's a result of the unconstitutional practices of school funding in Ohio. The reduction plan is on the agenda as a separate voting item this evening. It includes those 15 items, and it's worded if the levy does not pass in November. We are in need of presenting these reductions to the board earlier than we historically have because of House Bill 140, which has really put limitations, especially on myself and our treasurer, Dave Chambers, in trying to share this vital information with our community. The board's passage makes it clear and falls in line with House Bill 140 in terms of what has to happen without the passage of a levy in November. And the choice is up to our community. That's why levies go on the ballot. And ultimately, our community will decide what's the best course and direction for the future of Medina City Schools. Any questions from our board?
Just couple comments. First, I lived through with my children, the last one in 2013 when it finally passed, and I saw some of this, and fortunately the community supported us in 2013 and then made permanent in 2018. So I've seen the benefit that my children specifically have gotten from this district, and I can't imagine the children coming in the future not having that opportunity. And I think one of the things for me that stands out is that, if we fail and in the future we pass something, it's going to be very difficult to attract good talent, because new teachers and even experienced teachers that would want to come here and make this their permanent home and the place that they retire from, they're not going to want to come here because we're going to be in trouble. And I think that's, and there is a shortage now nationwide, as you have said. It's all over the place. So I can't stress enough to the public that there's ramifications. And then the one chart that you had, which showed if we fail in November and we make the $8 million in cuts, if we don't pass something, we're going to be making more cuts in the future because we're going to go off the cliff. It's just we've slowed it down. So it's just some comments. So thank you.
To go off a few things that Mr. West said, we have already seen situations where we've tried to hire staff and they don't want to come here because of the uncertainty of our financial position. that will only get worse. I think the community, I want to make sure they know that, as Mr. Sable said, once those cuts are made, it does take a generation to get them back. If we have to eliminate a program and eliminate someone's job, they're going to go find a job somewhere else. And if we pass the levy later, we're not going to be able to just bring everything back like that. It does not happen that way. Like Mr. West, my oldest was in first grade when this happened, and it was changing, life-changing. There's many of us who have seen this before, and a failure will result in the district looking entirely different. And I know our community has high expectations for us. We have had strategic planning sessions. We've had community meetings over the 9 years that I have served on the school board, and it has been stressed over and over again. People in our community, they want more. They expect more for us. They have very high standards for us. We see we're achieving those things just based on our report card scores we saw tonight, the development of advanced courses, our AP classes, which I wanted to note that any of our students in the high school can take an AP course. Those are not just for gifted students. Those are open to all students, freshmen through seniors, at any academic level, and they all get something out of that. So that's important. We are offering opportunities to all of our students, and this will be devastating. Those opportunities will not be available to them if the levy fails. The purpose of this levy is not to add programs, it is to maintain the current status. That cannot be said enough. It is to maintain our current level of excellence.
I agree with everything that you guys had mentioned. One thing that I just wanted to hammer home that I know the last couple times we've had a levy on the ballot, I've seen prop up here and there, and Mr. Sable had it on the summary slide, and Andrew kind of touched on it, was we haven't asked for any new money in 10 years, a whole decade, right? And I think there's confusion on the 2018, what that was. Just to clear the air, at least at a board meeting, who knows if the people that need to hear it will get this to them. But that was a renewal. That was money that we already had coming in from 2013, and then in 2018 it became a continuous. So that's not new money that we asked for. That was just a continuation of what we already had out there that was about to fall off, and we ended up re-upping. So I just wanted to put that out there because I know both times I've seen it. Well, you guys already asked for money. You're lying about this, blah, blah, blah. 2018. Like, no, that was existing money we were already getting that was about to fall off, that we made sure we could make it permanent and not worry about that anymore.
Well, I too have had my kids. My youngest is a senior this year, and my oldest and her sister, they all, have seen the reductions. We were one of the people that went door to door when we were going for the 11 years ago, and thankfully it passed at that time. But I think having us go door to door, we saw, or the community saw, how desperate we were. And I unfortunately think we need to do that again. I did have a couple questions that were asked of me to ask, and if it fails, do we foresee that we're going to be going back on the ballot again next year and for more? Is that correct?
If this is our last chance before having major reductions. So if the levy fails in November, we will have to implement the $8 million in reductions. And yes, I would be presenting to the board again to go back on the ballot, or there will continue to be reductions in the future.
Okay. And And so many have asked also, if this does pass, when is the next time that we're going to be asking for more money? So that is a question that's been asked of me many times.
Yeah, due to the continued state of school funding in Ohio, because of the way funding is set up in Columbus, all public schools in the state will continue to have to go on the ballot to their community to ask for funding. That's something that's not going to change until the legislation changes and our legislators in Columbus choose a different path for funding schools in Ohio. And Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but our forecast with a passage in November, we are looking approximately 4 to 5 years out before needing additional funding again.
Okay. That should answer some of our community's questions. The last question that I had was, okay, if it passes, are we still going to implement the 5, 6, 7, 8 plan?
I don't know.
Okay.
What I can tell you is if it passes the 5, 6, 7, 8, nor the grade level buildings, and I know that's a big topic of conversation in the community, would not be implemented next school year. It would be a very different approach towards exploring any semblance of those models. With knowing that we would have the need in the future for additional levies, continuing to do our best to be fiscally responsible would be an ongoing conversation. To do that, though, in a format where we're able to have the conversation and not in a position where we just have to implement is the ideal path, so that we make sure that we are headed in the direction that our community wants, and there's the ongoing support, not only for what's happening in the district, but also financially with the current funding system in Ohio.
Okay, thank you for answering those questions. Appreciate it.
Sure.
I just would like to remind the community that if the levy fails, there will not be community neighborhood schools. That means if you're going to go, and I'm just making this up, so don't, everybody have a cow over this. Kindergarten might go to Ella Canavan, and then next year they might go to Waite. So they're going to keep moving, and I don't think that's ideal for the students. And I don't think that's what Medina community wants. They've always prided themselves on the community school. And again, this would, and just to reiterate, this will so drastically change the look of Medina and what we expect. This levy has got to pass, or the schools as we know them, and even the community as we know it, are going to drastically change. I'd like to thank Mr. Sable and Mr. Chambers for spending all this time on this. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We do thank you, and I just wanted to reiterate again, because I don't think it can be said enough. If you want to keep what we have, the levy has to pass. It is to maintain the current level of services. And current schools are currently primarily funded on property taxes. So you might hear about school vouchers. We're not going to get into that tonight. You can look that up and do the research yourself. But where that money is coming from, it's not coming to us. So that is going to your public schools. So we are primarily funded by our community through property tax dollars. As Ms. Pritchard said, our schools are a reflection of our community. Our community is a reflection of our schools. So we, again, encourage anyone who has questions about any of this to please reach out to the board or Superintendent Sable or our treasurer, Mr. Chambers. Thank you.
You done, Mr. Sable? Okay. Mr. Chambers, treasurer's report.
Yes, if it please the board, the district bank balance decreased $4.7 million in August to $68.9 million. This is $6.2 million below last year at this time. 5-year forecast revenues were above last August by $752,000. All revenue sources except for other sources accounted for this increase. The 5-year forecasted expenditures were above last August by $670,000. Salary, benefits, and supplies and materials account for this increase. The sales tax fund balance decreased to $5.2 million. The district spent approximately $165,000 in August, with the majority of expenditures on roofing and paving. The rec center capital fund balance is up to negative $104,000, as the district received $42,000 from the city during August. Per the Department of Education and Workforce precaution plan, the district is seeing changes to where people were placed as new contracts have been started. We're seeing reductions with administrators and with the first pay of the new year, and you will see decreases in teacher payments as all contracts are paid out and new contracts begin. The district has received roughly $220,000 in investment income. This total collected for the fiscal year is approximately $64,000 above last year. And the district has forecasted funds true days cash balance. It's estimated to be 177 days. This is down from July by 26 days and below last year by 26 days. Remember, the true days cash balance is calculated by taking our current general funds and substitute levy and compared to the current expenditures in the 5-year forecast divided by 365 days. Questions on that? Okay, we have our appropriations. It was asked of me, what are our permanent appropriations? So I will tell you. These are all of the funding balances for our budgets. We have all of the, I believe there's over 300 accounts in our general fund, which make up, they're all rolled up into one appropriation for the general fund. We have approximately 1,800 different accounts that we have to account for. And what you are looking at with the permanent appropriations is estimated spending for the year. So it's not actual spending, it's our estimates. I was comparing the current permanent appropriations to our final appropriations for last fiscal year, and our general fund is roughly $400,000 under last fiscal year. If you were to look at the forecast, you would see that the forecast would have included increases for salaries, benefits. Our benefits itself went up 12% over last year. So this is actually a decrease in what you were seeing before. Our emergency levy is up roughly $200,000. Both the general fund and the emergency levy, which is now the substitute levy, make up our forecasted funds. The only other thing that is a highlight on this year's permanent appropriations as compared to last year's final appropriations is your 507 fund, which is your ESSER funds. In June, we appropriated $3.7 million. This year, we're at $1.2 million. Most of those funds are already committed if they haven't been spent already. We have roughly $60,000, maybe a little more, that is not committed as of yet. So any questions on your permanent appropriations? Thank you.
Okay, board communication, Mrs. Smoyer.
All right. I appreciate you explaining that a little bit for me, the newbie on the board. All right. So one thing that I've done, a couple of things that we've done this month or past month has been I took over for Andrew West going to the facilities meeting, and we got a tour of the new Heritage preschool. I was very impressed because I had gone to Heritage when we did the open house, towards the end of the year, and it's just amazing what they did over the summer with the sales tax dollars that we had and to use, and it's amazing. It looks great. The teachers are very happy. They've got a lot more space for the kids, and I'm just amazed at it. So, very impressed. They were about to put in the outside recess area. Is that done yet? Still working on it? Okay, so I'll have to check that out. The other thing that I've gone to was the policy committee meeting. Rebecca and I went to that, and we were discussing about board self-evaluations. So we will be discussing that a little bit more. Rebecca might have some more information on that. But something that we need to look at ourselves and see that we are doing well. We need to set goals and, attain those as well, not just everybody else that we are watching over. Tomorrow is the Partnership Council meeting, and I believe it is in this building, in this room. So I'm looking forward to across the hall. Good thing you told me that. So it's always a meeting that I really enjoy going to. And the mayor generally comes, someone from the rec center comes, the parks, the police officers, police chiefs come to that, and we learn a lot about what is going on. The other thing that the other people that come are the PTO presidents, and it is very good for them to come. As I used to be a PTO president, I used to come to those meetings, and I found out a lot about what was going on in our schools, but also what was going on in our community. And what I love about the Partnership Council is that it does show it's a community spirit together, so our schools and the community. So that is always awesome. I'm looking forward to that again tomorrow. And then Thursday we will be having the Finance Committee, and I know I missed that the last time, so I'm looking forward to the updates. Thank you.
Mr. Nichols?
Yeah, as Ms. Moyer had said about the facilities meeting, I attended that too, went through the Heritage School to see all the updates and everything that they had implemented in order to handle the crazy preschoolers. I can say that. My kid just got out. Yeah, so it was interesting, some of the solutions that they had done in order to make sure that, like, conjoined classrooms with maybe like a singular restroom in between had enough space to handle all of the crazy little guys running around. So that was interesting to hear. Yeah, there was a ton of work done, like Mrs. Moyer had mentioned. The teachers were super excited to get underway, really looking forward to the start of the next year in a new place with a giant space of their own. And the one notable thing that I'll have to say that you did not mention was we did get to see the famed 30-foot wall with the rubber spacer in between. So, yeah, I wanted to make sure that I pointed that out. Yeah, it's it was just as amazing as I'm sure everybody can expect it was. Then there's a lot of work, and then after that, I attended the curriculum meeting last Monday. We'll say. And that was a presentation with the state report card that Tina had presented earlier in the meeting. So that was cool to kind of get a look at that, see where our numbers are at, and kind of get input from additional people within the community. And then in addition to that, we had conversations about levy items. And a bunch of the community members had some ideas in there as far as, regarding the updates that Mr. Sable had given them. And then we also had talked about going to have a little book club in there. The Energy Bus, which Mr. Sable had talked about at the beginning of the year, and at our board retreat, going to do page 1 through 44 on that, and come back next month and have a discussion on that. So that'll be interesting, everything that everybody takes away from that, and conversations that we can have, because that's a fun, interesting group that we have there too. Yeah, and that I believe is my update.
Thank you. Mr. West?
Thank you, Mrs. Pritchard, or Miss Pritchard. So I have been to a few events, been to a couple football games. Those are always exciting to go to the football games and see the community out. I don't know, this year my impression is there seems to be a lot more people out, which is nice to see. Everybody's there. So that's been fun. And went to the marching band competition this past Saturday. My wife and I did. And we both very much enjoyed that. It's always nice to see. I believe there was 8 or 9 bands there. That includes Medina, and of all different school sizes. And it just brings a lot of memories for myself when I was in school. My dad was Mr. Locker in my school district, so it brings back a lot of memories, and that was thoroughly enjoyable. Also, Friday night I got to cook brats and dogs for the community with Mr. O'Call. We had a good time at that. And I got to meet our newest resource officer, Nessie, at the community night. Officer, I believe it's McLaren, has Nessie. And she's now in the high school and in the buildings, and that's a partnership with the city, which I believe we got through a grant. So that's nice to see, and that's exciting to have another officer in our buildings. So, and finally, I would just encourage anyone in the community with questions on the levy, please, please, please get in touch with one of your board members or Mr. Sable or Mr. Chambers with your questions. We are happy to answer them. So thank you very much.
Okay, Mrs. Parkhurst?
Thank you. I also had the privilege of attending community night last Friday night. We had a great turnout, lots of families and community members. And as we welcomed our class of 2037 is the new kindergarten class, and they made a lap around the track. So that was exciting and a fun night for everyone. I did want to thank Dr. Kwolek and Ron Blue for their efforts with Hope Squad. Recently, Channel 19 did a story about Hope Squad, and Dr. Kwolek has been instrumental in bringing that program to Medina City Schools and expanding it to all of our buildings. It is a fantastic program. We are very fortunate to have it, and I appreciate her efforts as well as Mr. Blue's efforts in expanding that to other districts in the county. So that says also a lot about us as a leader in our county. So thank you very much. I also want to congratulate our superintendent in his position on the executive committee for the Alliance for High Quality Education. We as a board, really appreciate your efforts in bringing to light the issues with our school funding, fighting for public schools, fighting for high quality education. I'm not sure the community knows how much you and Mr. Chambers and our other administrators do, how much time you spend in Columbus fighting for our district. A lot of hours are spent, so we do appreciate your efforts. Thank you. As Mrs. Smoyer noted, we had the policy committee. We also reviewed the board handbook, which is available online to each of our board members, but also to our community. So our community members can look that up and find out what it means to be a board member, what our roles and responsibilities are. That is available on our website under the Board of Education. However, I did make copies for each of our board members at my own personal expense. that I wanted to share, because sometimes things do get viewed a little bit easier if you have a hard copy available. So I will pass these down. If everyone would please grab a board handbook, as well as I made a copy of the board self-assessment process. This was developed by the Ohio School Board Association, for which we are a member. And I encourage each of our board members to review the handbook. If there's things that you think need to be changed, please let myself or Mrs. Smoyer know if we need any additions. And then I also encourage all of us to take a look at the self-assessment process. It really is not very long, but I think it's important for all of us to have a growth mentality and to see what we can do to improve. We ask that of our students through our Portrait of a Bee. I think it's imperative that we be good role models in that process and do the same as well. And I look forward to those conversations with the board to see what we're doing well and what we can do better. The last thing I wanted to mention is more of, I guess, a public service announcement. Encourage everyone, if they are not registered to vote, to please register to vote. The deadline is October 7th. That can be done very quickly and easily right from your phone or a friend's phone, neighbor's phone, family's phone. Make sure that your children who are 18 are registered to vote. If you have children off at college, they can vote in person or they can get an absentee ballot. Early voting begins October 9th, so this is the last opportunity we are going to have here prior to early voting starting. October 8th is when early voting starts. But I encourage everyone to get voted. If they're not by the 7th, get your kiddos signed up to vote or get them their absentee voting ballots. And then early voting starts October 8th. Please, as Mr. West said, please reach out. All of our contact information is available on the website. Anyone can reach out to us at any time if they have, if they have questions. Thank you.
Okay, are you sure that you're done?
I cannot guarantee that.
Okay, I just wanted to,
I reserve the right to make amendments and additions.
I'd like to thank all the staff for all their hard work with the opening of schools, the transporting of students, and acclimating them to through the new school year. I know it's a lot of work, and a lot of people changed buildings, but everyone on this board really appreciates all that you've done. I was at community night. We had the attack of the bees down there on the where we were handing out the food, but nobody got stung that I was aware of. So I got to see the girls volleyball team play Copley. They're very young, but they had some really spirited games that had some really great plays and a few bad calls, but it was a lot of fun. I got to watch part of the Medina tennis doubles tournament. And I would like to thank Coach Kaufman for running this event and following it up with the JV event the next weekend. The girls tennis team is right now in first place in the conference, so going into the tournament. Probably not many people go to JV games, so I decided I would go to the JV girls soccer team against Bay. They tied 0-0. And then a couple Saturdays ago, I went to see the boys soccer team play Wadsworth. We had probably a first in the school. We scored both goals for Wadsworth on really weird, fluky plays, but our kids never gave up. And I hope the Wadsworth player that was injured, broke his collarbone, does well and can play any future sports that he might play. The golf teams are rounding out their seasons. The boys are already conference champs with one event to go, and the girls finished third overall today. And then I would like to remind everyone that the Medina County Career Center's 50th anniversary celebration is Sunday, October 27th, 2 to 5. You do want to come out and see the renovated building and the new Ken Cleveland building. And I also like to point out that the Career Center received a 5 on their state school report card. So there's a lot of great things going on at the Career Center. That's all I have. We do have one person that would like to make some comments. Mr. Flood, as you come up, I'm going to read this. So come on up to the microphone. Community members wishing to address the board are asked to abide by the following guidelines. Attendees shall register their intention to comment in the public portion of the meeting upon their arrival at the meeting. After those that have registered have spoken, if time allows, the board president will ask for public comment from all other attendees. Please state your name, address, and affiliation. Please keep comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. No participant may speak more than once on the same topic unless all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No person may address or question board members individually. Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, my name's Tom. My address is 19480 Drake Road. Currently live in Strongsville. And my affiliation, I guess I own Kona Ice of Medina and Brunswick. And I've been aware of some of these problems that are going on with the levy not passing and just wanted to offer my assistance. Though when I see these numbers, it's a small part, but basically just, and I have like a frequently asked question thing that I'll give everybody. I'm just here to kind of spread the word that Kona Ice is a really good avenue or vehicle for fundraising. And if we were to engage in quarterly Kona Ice Days, and I'm not going to go into it, with each of the elementary and middle schools, based on what I know the student population to be and how many kids in those grade levels, K through 8, participate, I really believe that we could raise around $12,000 a year for the district. And that's really all I wanted to communicate. And I'll give everybody one of our frequently asked questions, and then that's it. I guess, does anybody have any questions for me?
No, but thank you very much
All
for
right,
coming.
fantastic.
We appreciate
Yeah,
it. Thank you for coming and taking the time. We appreciate it. Okay, action items from the treasurer, Mr. Chambers.
Yes, if it please the board, it is recommended that Board of Education approve the August 24 Treasurer's Financial Report. And item 2, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the permanent appropriations for the 24-25 fiscal year.
May I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve treasurer's action items. Number 1, the treasurer's financial report, and number 2, the permanent appropriations for 2024 through 2025.
Thank you, Mr. West. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you, Mrs. Smoyer. Are there any questions? Okay, none. Roll call.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Ms. Smoyer?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Aye.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Thank you.
Action items, Superintendent, Mr. Sable.
Before I get into the action items, just real briefly, I wanted to publicly thank Heather Mix. I know it's out there somewhere, but it was brought up that the Facilities Committee was able to go over and take a tour of the preschool program, and she did just an outstanding job providing us the tour, but also talking about the specifics of the preschool program and what the needs were for moving into that facility in each one of those individual classrooms. And I know in October, we're going to have a community open house at Heritage Helping Hands, and I'm looking forward to her sharing her knowledge with our community as a whole. First item up is donations. It is recommended that the Board of Education accept the following donations. I do want to thank the large amount of support that we're receiving for our students in the opening of the school year, all the way from many of our PTOs to individual donations to our local Kiwanis Club of Medina. On an annual basis this time of year, we're always asking the board to approve a large amount of donations in support of the opening of the school year, and that is appreciated. Number 2, it is recommended that the Board of Education accept the following service agreement and service agreement amendment. These are for special education services per children's individual educational plan. Number 3, agreements for students placed at Evolve Academy. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the agreements that students placed at Evolve Academy will be provided educational services by the Medina City Schools for the following school districts. These are all school districts that have worked with our Evolve Academy in the past. Evolve Academy is self-funded, so that is not additional cost to the district. These districts that are placing students pay to have their students placed and serviced at the Evolve Academy. Number 4, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the memorandums of understanding that students placed at the Medina County Juvenile Detention Center will be provided educational services by the Medina City Schools for the following districts during the 24-25 school year. This does include all other districts in Medina County. We are the fiscal agents for the Juvenile Detention Center. The educational employees, teachers, aides at the Juvenile Detention Center are provided through Medina City Schools. So they reimburse us for the services we provide at that facility. Number 5 is transportation, parental transportation contracts. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the attached parental transportation contracts for the 24-25 school year. All of these contracts are for individuals that meet specific criteria in terms of their transportation needs, and our students that we are mandated to transport as a public school district that are electing to transport their students on their own. Therefore, we provide them reimbursement for doing that. It's important to note that in these parents electing to go this route, it more than often is a cost savings to the district for them to individually transport, as opposed to us providing specialized transportation or using a yellow bus for an individual or small group of students. Number 6 is field trip. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following overnight field trip in compliance with Policy 2340. And this is for a Spanish and French student trip in June of 2026. Dates to be announced. We are fortunate to have teachers in the district that are willing to provide these extension and really lifetime experiences for our students. This is not a cost to the district. The individual families pay for these excursions, and they are dependent upon enrollment and student interest. Number 7, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following personnel recommendations pending completion and submission of all required paperwork to our Office of Human Resources. A couple highlights in here. The first, there is a recommendation for an increase in the substitute pay rate for substitute psychologists. This is a vital need for the district. Hiring full-time or even part-time school psychologists is quite a challenge because of the shortage, and then the need and ability to get a substitute is a challenge as well. So this will be a help to the district. I would, and I don't want to step on your toes, Dave, but I would like to welcome Matt Gregory, pending board approval, as our assistant treasurer, effective October 2nd, and he is replacing Laura Molnar, who resigned last month and is now the treasurer at the Summit County ESC. I'm excited to have Matt come on board. We've had the pleasure of working with him through the Medina ESC over the course of the last several years. Just from a superintendent's perspective, I've really been able to see the advances that he's made in terms of working with contracts through the ESC in an electronic format. So I think he's going to have a lot to bring, as well as his extensive experience with payroll and the support he'll be able to bring to that programming. And in addition, his better half is a teacher in the district over at Root Middle School. Any questions or comments?
Now, can I have a motion to approve the superintendent's action items?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Parkhurst.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Is there any questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call?
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Mr. Nichols?
Aye.
Ms. Moyer?
Aye.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Thank you.
And so, Mr. Sable, the reduction plan,
Correct. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the proposed reduction plan, which will be implemented for the 25-26 school year, contingent upon the failure of the November 5th, 2024 levy. Once the community makes a decision in November, if the levy is to pass, I would come back and recommend reversal of this reduction plan following the election.
I'll make a motion to approve the reduction plan.
thank you, Mrs. Parker. Second?
I will second.
Thank you, Mrs. Moyer. Are there any questions?
We've talked a lot about this tonight because it is important. I think, once again, it is just very important to state this is only to happen if the levy fails in November. Otherwise, if the levy passes, we will keep things as the status quo, maintain current level of operations for our students.
Thank you. I have one question. Mr. O'Call, do you have any idea of how many high school kids would be affected by busing cuts?
We have 2,400 students in the high school, but we transport we, 20, what are we, 22 and some change at the high school now currently? 20.
Yeah.
But of the bus riders that we have there, I don't have that exact number. I can provide that for you if you'd like.
Yeah, I just want to kind of like to see how many kids will be affected.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, and really the whole community will be affected
yeah.
because there won't be buses on the road. There will be more cars on the road taking the kids to school. So that it will impact the entire community.
Yeah, and it also will impact those children because a lot of them will have to walk. Their parents can't bring them, or they will get there real early and be there for a long time before school starts if both parents work. So this, again, this is not to add anything, it's just to maintain what we have, and it is a revenue problem, not a spending problem. I have to really make that very clear. We're not going to be spending any more money, we're just going to spend what we have to maintain what we have. So, if there, any other comments? Mr. Chambers, roll call.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Ms. Moyer?
Aye.
Mr. Nichols?
Aye.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Pritchard?
Yes.
Before we adjourn, of course, I do have one thing that
I figured.
I know, I apologize. I did want to thank Mr. O'Call and Mr. Komar and their staff for the great facility that we have here today. And I wanted to remind everyone that this was paid with sales tax dollars, and we did a lot of the work in-house. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other business? And if not, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. West. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Mr. Chambers?
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Aye.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Ms. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all for attending, and see you on October 16th. Thank you.